Here is your requested part 1 of the story, written in simple basic English, third-person style. About 800 words, and ending each sentence with a comma for easy voiceover narration. The Galactic Empire's frontier space station floated quietly. At the edge of known space, its dark metallic hull reflecting distant stars, the crew spent most days bored and sleepy, watching empty space where nothing exciting ever happened. Today felt like any other quiet day until an alarm suddenly blared loudly through every corridor. Soldiers and technicians rushed quickly to their stations, confused and scared, in the control room. Commander Zarl stood up nervously from his chair. He was tall and thin, with pale blue skin and sharp yellow eyes. As he walked towards the big screen showing the sensors, a young technician named Mira called out to him urgently. "Commander, something strange has appeared." "A huge warship, but we can't identify it," she said with shaking hands. Commander Zarl felt a chill down his spine as he stared at the unknown warship on the screen. The ship was enormous and dark-colored, built with shapes that no one in the Empire had ever seen. It hung silently in space, its presence frightening the entire crew. "Can you see where it came from?" Commander Zarl asked Mira, trying to stay calm. "No, Commander," she replied quietly. "It just suddenly appeared on our sensors, out of nowhere." This made Zarl feel even more uneasy because no Empire ship could appear silently like that. "Commander." Zarl took a deep breath and ordered his team to call the main Empire headquarters soon. The big screen flickered and showed the face of the Galactic Empire's leader, Emperor Draven. He had dark red skin and sharp, angry eyes, and everyone feared him. "What is it, Commander?" the Emperor demanded loudly. "Sir," Commander Zarl began nervously, "an unknown ship has just arrived, and we can't identify it." The Emperor leaned forward, anger on his face. "Is it a threat to us?" he growled. Commander Zarl swallowed hard and replied, "We don't know yet, sir, but it looks powerful." The Emperor frowned. "Could it be human?" he asked in a quieter voice. Commander Zarl hesitated. "Humans are weak and have old ships, Emperor. It can't be them." The Emperor stared harshly. "Make sure it's not humans, Commander. They are tricky creatures." And then he disappeared from the screen. Commander Zarl turned quickly to his crew and gave the order, "Send our scout drones to look closely at that ship." Minutes passed slowly. Everyone waited in tense silence, afraid of what they might find. Soon, the drones sent back clear pictures of the mysterious warship. It had a design the Empire had never seen, long, sleek, and covered in advanced weapons. Most shocking was a symbol on its side, a blue planet that looked just like Earth. "Commander." Zarl felt his heart beat faster in fear. "It can't be," he whispered. "That's impossible." Mira looked at him with wide eyes. "Commander, that means humans built this ship," she said softly. Everyone in the room went quiet, looking at each other in shock. How had the humans, who everyone thought weak and backward, built such a powerful warship without the Empire knowing? Suddenly, the giant ship sent out a powerful signal, shaking the entire space station's communication systems. A clear voice echoed loudly, calm but powerful. "We are humans from Earth, and we have returned." The message repeated again, louder. This time, "We are humans from Earth, and we have returned." Commander Zarl felt panic spread through his body. "Returned?" he thought. "What do they mean?" He quickly sent another urgent message to Emperor Draven. "Sir, it is a human warship, and they say they have returned." The Emperor's face appeared again on the screen, angry and worried. "What did you just say?" "Commander, humans?" Commander Zarl nodded nervously. "Yes, sir, and they say they've returned, but I don't know from where." Emperor Draven slammed his hand down on his desk, eyes blazing with fury. "This cannot be allowed, Commander. Humans cannot become powerful again." Zarl nodded. "What are your orders, sir?" The Emperor stared angrily and said, "Stop them, Commander, whatever it takes." Commander Zarl turned slowly back to the main screen. Looking at the terrifying human warship hanging quietly in space, he knew deep down that stopping this mysterious new ship would not be easy. Humans had surprised them all, and now fear filled the hearts of everyone in the Galactic Empire. The entire station waited nervously, knowing something big was about to happen. Commander Zarl stood still, realizing the Empire's quiet days were now over, because the humans had returned, and nothing would ever be the same again. Commander Zarl sat at the head of the holotable, face pale under the dim lights. The glowing image of the human warship hovered above them, its dark hull covered in strange weapons. He looked around at his top admirals and generals, waiting for their reports. The council chamber was silent, except for the hum of power conduits. Outside, station alarms wailed softly, reminding everyone of the deadly threat. Every officer wore a worried look. Sweat glistening on their brows, General Arnos leaned forward, gripping the edge of the table, voice trembling with alarm. He warned that their energy beams could not pierce human armor, and shields bent under the impact. Our cannons failed to dent their hull, he said in a low voice. The enemy stands firm while our ships break apart. He added, brow furrowed. Commander Zarl nodded grimly. Knowing Arnos spoke the truth he feared to admit, Admiral Vesha rose slowly, eyes blazing, voice cutting through the gloom. Sir, we cannot stay on defense, she declared sharply. We must strike their weak points before they overwhelm us, she urged. The room stirred as captains whispered agreement, hope flickering in their hearts, but fear still gripped them, for they faced an unknown power outside the chamber. Large hangar doors opened to reveal the Empire's proud fleet. 7 massive dreadnoughts and dozens of escort frigates formed. A line in the void, they advanced toward the human warship, weapons primed and engines glowing. Ground crews watched anxiously from observation windows, hearts pounding. Would their firepower be enough against this new enemy? Back in the council, a junior officer delivered bad news, voice shaking. Our recon drones were blasted out of the sky before they could scan thoroughly, he reported. They barely transmitted images, and then they exploded in mid-space. He added, everyone exchanged grim looks, realizing even small probes could not help. No data meant no plan would be safe or certain. A senior intelligence officer cleared his throat, stepping forward with urgency. We have intercepted a human transmission, he said softly. It repeats only 3 words. We own this galaxy. Murmurs rippled through the room. Shock and dread mixing. Humans seemed to taunt the Empire with confidence they could not match. Commander Zarl spoke at last, voice steady but hard. We must assume they have more ships hidden nearby, he said firmly. We cannot allow them to land on our worlds, he warned. His words silenced the whispers and settled. Heavy on every heart, they felt the weight of an empire on the brink. General Arnos spoke again, softer this time. What of our secret weapon projects? He asked. He referred to the hidden labs on Belkos Prime, where super lasers and new shields were built. They need weeks more to finish prototypes. A lab overseer replied. But if we delay, we lose everything, Arnos said with quiet desperation. Time was a luxury they did not have. Admiral Vesha slammed her fist on the table. Then we launch half-built weapons now, she cried. Zarl hesitated, knowing untested weapons risked failure or backfire. Yet waiting meant certain defeat. He gave the order. Activate prototype beams on all ships, he commanded. Prepare to fire on my mark. Outside, the dreadnoughts powered up their hidden arrays, blue energy crackling along turrets. Frigates swiveled their turrets toward the silent human warship. On the bridge of the lead dreadnought, Captain Rios felt his heart pound. He glanced at his crew, all tense and alert. You know the plan, Rios said quietly. We fire together. Moments later, the station trembled as massive energy blasts launched all at once. Bright beams cut through darkness toward the target. For a second, sparks of hope lit every eye. Then the beams shattered against an invisible field around the human ship. All the dreadnoughts rocked from the recoil, weapons fried and shields Glowing red, back in the council, alarms blared, and the hollow table flickered with damage reports. Admiral Vesha cursed under her breath, mouth set in a hard line. General Arnos covered his face with trembling hands. Commander Zarl stared at the wrecked projections, jaw clenched tight. They had failed again. A messenger burst in, breathless. "Sir, civilians panic on nearby worlds," he reported urgently. "Refugee ships flee home planets toward the core." Zarl's stomach twisted at the news. "We cannot protect them if the front falls," he said. The council fell silent, hearts heavy with dread. At last, Commander Zarl rose, voice firm. "Gather every loyal fleet you can," he ordered. "We fall back to the inner systems and fight from defensive lines." He met every officer's eyes. "Our empire may tremble, but it will not break," he vowed. They nodded. Resolve hardening, unknown whether they could win, they chose to. Stand and fight. Outside, the human warship hovered calmly, its dark form majestic in the void. It broadcast no more messages, but its presence spoke of power and purpose. Crew on the dreadnoughts gripped railings, fear and awe in their eyes. The Galactic Empire faced its greatest test yet, and the war had only just begun. Commander Zarl stood alone in the observation deck, staring at distant stars through a reinforced viewport. His heart pounded as he tried to steady his breathing. The vast emptiness of space felt suddenly oppressive. He had seen many battles, but never one like this. A single human warship had shattered the Empire's pride. Now every officer waited for his command. Fear mixed with hope flickered in his mind. Could peace really be possible, or would war engulf them all? Zarl pressed his hand against the cold. Glass, below him, the council chamber thrummed with activity. Holoscreens displayed glowing data streams. Admirals and generals leaned over consoles. Face tense, their usual arrogance was replaced by uncertainty. None could read the humans. They underestimated human resolve once before, and paid for it in blood. The room's red lights cast harsh shadows. Every figure looked haunted. Zarl knew his next words must guide them. He activated the council communicator. Voice calm but firm, he spoke. "Open a secure channel to the human vessel," he ordered. The technician nodded and typed rapidly. Wires hummed and screens flickered. A deep hum spread through the deck. The secure link engaged with a soft beep. Silence fell as all eyes turned to the COM monitor. A small icon pulsed slowly, signaling the human response. On the screen, a shuttle's hatch slid open. A ramp extended with mechanical precision. The shuttle's interior lights revealed a single operator seat. A human pilot stepped out, tall and poised. Captain Alex moved carefully down the ramp. His dark uniform bore simple stripes. An Earth emblem glinted on his chest. His face was calm and welcoming. Behind him glowed the shuttle's smooth metal walls. A soft hum of engines lingered. Alex saluted with respect, his voice clear. He said, "Honorable Commander Zarl, we come in friendship." His calm tone filled the chamber. The image of a peaceful greeting felt strange to the Empire. Zarl swallowed and replied, "State your intentions on our territory." Alex nodded once. "We seek alliance and trade, not conquest. Let us discuss terms." An admiral scoffed from her seat. "Words can mask weapons," she muttered. Another general frowned deeply. "They destroyed our probes without warning," he reminded. Zarl held up a hand. "Judge them by their actions," he said softly. "Prepare an escort for their shuttle." Technicians flashed uncertain looks. Guards readied their weapons. The shuttle's ramp began to lift. A corridor extended to a docking bay. Automated doors opened smoothly. Lights guided the humans inside. Empire guards flanked the walls. Tension crackled in the air. Each step the humans took echoed loudly. Zarl walked beside Captain Alex. They passed flickering control panels. Worn floor plates bore scorch marks. The station smelled of oil and fear. They reached the parley room. Tall windows looked onto empty space. A long table stood at its center. Chairs lined both sides. Lights overhead dimmed to a cool white. Zarl gestured to seats. Alex sat calmly with straight posture. Zarl took his seat opposite. Silence settled heavily. Only distant hums remained. Alex leaned forward slightly. "We have healing devices," he began. He held a small cylinder glowing green. "This can repair wounds in seconds." He touched the device to a wounded officer's arm. The metal skin warmed gently. Flesh knit smoothly together. The officer gasped with relief. Pain vanished instantly. Eyes widened across the table. Whispers broke the silence. "Miracle," one officer breathed. A hush fell after that single word. Zarl realized humans could change hearts without violence. He met Alex's steady gaze and felt trust stir. "Your mercy is impressive," he admitted. Alex bowed slightly. "We offer hope, not fear," he replied. The room felt lighter than it had in days. The first true contact ended with silent promise. The fate of the Empire hung in balance as discussions opened towards a future unknown. Commander Zarl stood on the bridge of the flagship, staring at the viewport and the lone human warship hovering in space. The Empire's fleet had gathered. Behind him in a tight formation, giants of metal and firepower ready to strike. He felt the weight of thousands of lives in his chest as he turned to face his crew. "Prepare all batteries," he ordered calmly, voice steady though his heart raced. The officers nodded and activated power circuits throughout the ship. On the lead dreadnought, Captain Rios gripped the command rail, eyes fixed on the distant silhouette. Every cannon and turret hummed with energy, charging for a single moment. Of violence, below decks, engineers monitored temperature gauges and shield harmonics. Adjusting settings with trembling hands, they worked quickly, knowing one mistake could doom the entire fleet. Meanwhile, the human warship remained eerily still, its dark hull absorbing every flicker of light. No sign of panic or haste showed on its smooth surface. Then, a soft voice came through the comms, clear and unwavering. "This is Captain Alex of the United Earth Fleet," the voice said. "We understand your might and wish you peace, but we will defend ourselves if threatened. General." Arno stared at the comm console in disbelief. He spat. "They dare speak of peace after blowing up our drones?" Commander Zarl held up a hand, cutting off debate. "We act on my mark," he said quietly. He turned back to the viewport, lungs tightening. Outside, the Empire's fleet edged closer, dreadnoughts flanking the human ship on both sides. Each vessel's massive guns swiveled into position, targeting the hull. Fighter squadrons formed arcs above the larger ships, ready to swarm at a command. Their exhaust trails painted glowing lines across the emptiness. In the flagship's command chair, Zarl raised his hand. His finger hovered over the firing console. He thought of the worlds under Empire rule, the fear that humans might break that rule. He thought of his station crew and their families. He thought of the Emperor's fury if they failed. "All batteries fire now," he commanded softly, instantly. Corridors shook as energy beams unleashed in unison. Bright lines of crackling light shot from every turret toward the human ship. On the flagship, the main cannon boomed, sending a pulse of concussive force through the deck. For a moment, the fleet felt triumph, believing their might would crush this single ship. But the energy beams vanished into the void before they reached the target, as if hitting a hidden wall. No explosion, no spark, just silence and the fading glow of spent weapons. Alarm klaxons wailed aboard every dreadnought, Captain. Rayos slammed his fist on a console. "Status report." He barked. Engineers scrambled to readouts, voices overlapping in panic. "Our beams were absorbed by an energy field," one shouted. "Shields are stable, but our weapons are offline," another cried, in the flagship. Zarl's face tightened, eyes narrowing. He accessed tactical data on his wrist console. He saw each dreadnought drop from full power to near darkness. The human warship still hung in its place, untouched and unscathed. Then, a single flash of blue light shot from the human ship's forward turret. It was small compared to the Empire's. Blasts, but fast and precise, in the blink of an eye. One of the dreadnoughts exploded into fiery fragments. Metal chunks and burning fuel drifted away. The fleet shuddered as the shockwave rippled through space. Gasps and shouts echoed on every bridge. Soldiers stared at the holodisplay showing the wrecked dreadnought. Some dropped to their knees in disbelief. Others gripped consoles like lifelines. Breathing hard, Commander Zarl's heart pounded as he watched his fleet's pride reduced to debris. He looked at the comm panel and spoke through gritted teeth. "Captain Alex, your demonstration is noted," he said slowly. The human voice replied calmly. "Our intent was not to destroy you, but we will defend ourselves, General." Arnos cried, "We can't fight them if one blast kills our largest ship." Admiral Vaisha covered her mouth, face pale. Zarl raised his hand for silence. Voice clear and firm. "Hold position and await further orders," he said. He took a breath and activated the secure line to Emperor Draven. The Emperor's face appeared. On the screen, eyes burning red. "Report!" he demanded. Zarl bowed his head. "Sir, our fleet has sustained losses," he said. "Our weapons failed against their shields, and one of our dreadnoughts was destroyed in seconds." The Emperor's lips curled in rage. "Impossible!" He snarled. Zarl held his ground. "It is true, sir," he said. He watched the Emperor's expression darken. On the bridge, silence settled like a heavy fog. Damage indicators glowed red, showing fractured armor and offline turrets. The human warship remained still, seeming almost to breathe in the quiet. Captain Rios broke the silence, voice low but strong. "What is our next move, Commander?" Zarl looked at his officers, eyes hard. "We fall back to the inner defense line," he said. "We regroup and use every hidden weapon in our arsenal." He paused, voice softer. "And we seek terms with these humans before we lose more ships." Outside, the human warship sent no further fire. Its lights remained calm, as if waiting for a reply. The Empire's fleet reversed slowly, engines flaring. Debris from the destroyed dreadnought trailed behind like a warning. Commander Zarl watched his fleet retreat, heart heavy but mind clear. He knew the Empire's age of dominance faced a new dawn. Humans had shown their power and mercy. Now the Empire had a choice to make: fight on and risk annihilation, or seek peace and learn from their resilient new rivals. The void around them seemed larger and darker than before, and the war for the galaxy had truly begun. The high command meeting room was silent, except for the hum of holoprojectors. Emperor Draven sat at the head of the table, his red eyes burning with urgency. Senior Advisor Kelran stood at his station, holding a data crystal that glowed faintly. "We have decrypted the logs recovered from the destroyed dreadnought," Kelran announced sharply. The room filled with tense energy as officers leaned forward eagerly. Kelran pressed a button on his console, and holoscreens flickered to life. Blueprints of the human warship rotated slowly in mid-air. Engineers gasped at the intricate design based on ancient Zaru ruins. "This technology dates back over 10,000 years, Kelran explained softly. "Our scholars believed the Zaru had vanished long ago," he added. The Emperor's brow furrowed deeper at those words. Kelran continued, "Humans have found and reactivated Zaru core reactors. These cores amplify energy output tenfold," he said. The officers exchanged shocked glances. They used hidden bases on unclaimed planets to study this tech. Kelran revealed, they built their warship piece by piece in secret. No probe detected their shipyard because it was buried beneath ice. Kelran added, "The Admiral of Intelligence swallowed hard. They fooled our sensors for years." He murmured, "What else did they hide?" Someone asked in a shaky voice. Kelran tapped the data crystal and new images appeared. Holoscreens showed human scientists studying alien artifacts. They carried out tests in silent chambers. The glow of the cores lit their stern faces. Humans revived lost Zaru defense drones, Kelran said. "These drones guard their shipyards beyond our reach." The Emperor slammed his fist on the table. "This complicity is treason against our galaxy," he roared. Zarl watched the Emperor carefully. His own heart heavy, the Emperor pointed at Zarl. You underestimated humans, Commander. He snarled. Zarl lowered his gaze in shame. I acted on limited data, my liege, he answered. Kelrin interjected. Our analysis shows humans adapted Zaru warp drives. Their engines can jump through space in seconds, officers gasped. At the speed data, their fleet could strike anywhere before we respond, Kelrin warned. The Emperor's eyes darted across the halls. Prepare to develop reverse-engineered cores, he ordered. We must match their energy output. The room buzzed with activity as scientists scribbled notes. Zarl thought of his battered fleet and crew. He recalled Captain Rios's brave stand on the front line. He felt guilt that his command had led to a trap. Find every Zaru ruin in our territory, the Emperor commanded. No planet is too remote. Kelrin bowed. Consider it done. My lord, he said. Suddenly alarms blared in the room. A warning light flashed red on the holoscreen. Incoming encrypted message from the human ship, said the comm officer. Zarl signaled for silence in the chamber. The message appeared on the screen as scrolling text. It read, We understand. You have learned our secret. We welcome dialogue to prevent further bloodshed. The Emperor's lips curled in a harsh smile. They admit our findings, he muttered. But can we trust their words? Zarl met Alex's calm gaze on the screen. He felt hope stir in his chest again. Set a time and place for talks, he decided. We will meet on neutral ground. Advisors looked at each other uncertainly. The idea of peace with humans seemed unimaginable, yet the data showed fighting alone would bring ruin. Zarl's voice broke the silence. This galaxy needs a new path, he said. One where humans and the Empire can stand side by side. The Emperor remained silent, lost in thought. Zarl looked at the data crystal glowing in Kelrin's hand. Zaru symbols flickered across its surface. They represented a past that could unite or destroy. Outside the station, the stars passed by in cold silence. Inside, the fate of billions hung on the next choice. Within hours, envoys from both sides prepared to travel through space. A neutral asteroid station called Harmony Point was chosen for the meeting. It floated between human space and Empire territory, its white domes shining under starlight. Engineers worked day and night to secure communication lines and meeting halls. Walls were lined with translators and peacekeeping units. Soldiers from both sides stood guard in silence, weapons holstered. A group of human diplomats arrived wearing simple uniforms, their faces calm. Empire envoys wore ornate armor emblems, tension visible in their stiff posture. The first glance between envoys was cold and cautious. Yet as they bowed and exchanged formal greetings, hope flickered in the room. Admiral Vesha found her voice trembling as she stepped forward. We did not understand your people, she admitted quietly. A human representative replied. We bear no ill will. The translators repeated words slowly in alien tongues. Across the hall, journalists and recorders captured every gesture. On board the Empire's ships, citizens watched live holovids of the meeting. Some cheered at the prospect of peace. Others looked away in fear. Underground resistance cells whispered that trust was a weakness. Loyalists prepared to sabotage talks, sending dark messages. Commander Zarl received reports of strange power fluctuations on Harmony Point. Surveillance drones caught a small ship docking without clearance. Zarl feared a trap but remembered Alex's promise of peace. He ordered silence and a calm approach. To the unknown vessel, heavy footsteps echoed as security teams moved to intercept. The fate of the galaxy hung on each careful step. And on Harmony Point, the true test of trust began. Harmony Point Station drifted between two star systems, a shining white circle in space. Ground crews put final seals on docking bays. Transparent walkways linked domes made for meetings. On one side, human envoys stepped off their shuttle in neat formation. They wore light uniforms and calm faces. On the other side, Empire envoys in dark armor arrived with stiff pride. Commander Zarl watched both groups from a raised platform. He felt his heart race as tension filled the air. He remembered the power of human weapons and the cost of war. He hoped this meeting could change everything. Diplomat Lee from Earth spoke. First, voice kind but firm, he bowed to the Empire envoys and said, "We come with open hands and open hearts." The Empire Chief Envoy, General Cedra, replied stiffly, "We hear your words, but we need proof of peace." Lee nodded and motioned to a table of gifts. On the table lay healing devices, food supplies, and data crystals. "These are tokens of our goodwill," Lee said softly. General Cedra inspected the gifts with narrow eyes. She hesitated before touching a healing device. Then she tested it on a wounded soldier from a recent skirmish. The device glowed green and repaired the wound instantly. The soldier gasped with relief and smiled in wonder. Cedra watched silently, her cold face softening a little. As they spoke, a low rumble shook the floor. Security alarms flashed red along the walls. People gasped and looked around in fear. Lee and Cedra raised their hands for calm. From a side corridor, smoke began to billow out. Shouts echoed as guards ran toward the source. A fire alarm blared and water sprayers hissed. "Commander." Zarl dashed forward, voice urgent. "Stand back, everyone," he called. He saw a small explosion in a service hatch. Hot metal and sparks poured out. A hidden bomb had gone off near the meeting hall. Several guards and technicians collapsed to the floor. The explosion tore a hole in the wall and cracked glass. Human medics rushed out, carrying stasis kits. They knelt beside the injured and began healing. Lee held Cedra's arm to steady her in fear. Cedra's face showed shock and pain. "You betrayed our trust," she hissed to the room. An Empire aide knelt and whispered, "We will find the traitor." Commander Zarl saw panic in the human envoy's eyes. "They did not do this," Lee said, voice firm. "We bring peace, not bombs," he added quietly. Cedra watched Lee's calm resolve with growing respect. Captain Rios arrived and oversaw security teams. He helped medics clear the injured and seal the hatch. "Find the saboteur before any more harm," Zarl ordered. Security drones scanned every visitor's badge and biodata. A hidden infiltrator slipped down a vent, unnoticed at first. Zarl caught a flicker of movement on his wrist display. He followed the mark through a side passage. The saboteur reached for another charge on the wall. Zarl leaped forward and grabbed the intruder's arm. They stumbled as Zarl pinned him to a pipe. The intruder hissed. "You cannot stop the war." Zarl glared and twisted the man's arm behind him. "Who sent you?" he demanded. The man spat and said, "A secret faction within the Empire." Zarl clenched his teeth and called security guard. "Take him to holding cells for interrogation." Back in the parley room, Lee and Cedra watched from the cracked glass. They saw Zarl's swift action and the capture of the traitor. Cedra turned to Lee and nodded slowly. "I believe you," she said with a quiet voice. Lee offered his hand and she shook it, a simple gesture that filled the hall with hope. The meeting resumed despite the broken wall. Zarl sat between Lee and Cedra. He cleared his throat and spoke. "This act of violence will not go unpunished," he said. "But our talks will continue." Lee smiled and replied, "We forgive if you promise justice," Cedra added. "We stand for peace if we stand together." They drafted an accord on a glowing holotable. Terms of peace, trade, and mutual respect filled the crystal text. They agreed to share Zaru tech and regulate its use for good. They set a plan for joint patrols to guard against saboteurs. They promised to disarm warships near border worlds. Each clause strengthened trust step by step after the signing. Lee invited Cedra and Zarl to share a meal in the station's silence garden. The garden was filled with green plants and soft blue light. Silence Garden offered peace to weary souls. They walked slowly between glowing ferns and humming vines. Zarl felt his shoulders relax for the first time in days. Cedra plucked a glowing berry and offered it to Lee. He tasted it and nodded with delight. "This is beautiful," Lee said softly. Cedra smiled and said, "Peace can be beautiful too." Zarl looked at the garden's calm water feature. He thought of war and its endless storms. He pledged silently to protect this new peace. Back at the docking bays, cargo ships brought food, medicine, and Zaru cores under guard. Engineers mixed human tech with Empire designs in open bays. Workers from both sides shared tools and stories. A human child from Earth waved at an Empire mechanic and smiled. The mechanic returned the smile shyly. Their simple act showed that fear could end with small kindness. News broadcasts from distant worlds repeated scenes of unity, rebel cells that once plotted war now considered peace. In a remote system, a governor ordered warships to stand down. Troops laid down weapons in exchange for humanitarian aid. This ripple of change reminded leaders of the power of hope. However, Emperor Dreven's face flickered on a secure feed. He watched reports with narrowed eyes. He spoke quietly to Kelran and Cedra. "Our empire weakens with each alliance you build," he said. "But our people demand change." Kelran warned, Cedra pressed. "If we betray our accord now, we lose trust forever." Dreven tapped his chin, conflicted by duty and promise. Back at Harmony Point, a second small group of Empire loyalists arrived under cover of night. They carried secret orders to seize the meeting hall once more, Zarl's. Security had been doubled after the first attack. Guards searched every corridor, then blocked hidden rooms. Loyalists moved in through a service tunnel but found it sealed. They banged on the walls, demanding access. A guard's voice crackled. "Cease or we will fire." The Loyalists hesitated and then chose to step back. They realized the Empire now honored its word. Their fear fell away as they saw the guards lower their weapons. They surrendered and asked for asylum. This act showed that even die-hard foes could change. When dawn came, Harmony Point glowed with new light. Delegates from other star nations flew in to witness peace. They brought song and gifts to honor the ceremony. Music filled the great dome as humans and Empire envoys danced. Children from both species joined hands and laughed. A reporter recorded every moment, voice trembling with joy. "Today we witness history," she said. Zarl felt tears in his eyes at the sight. He turned to his new friend, Captain Alex, and said, "We began with fear, but now I see our future is bright." Alex nodded, voice soft. "Our people will remember this day for generations." They clasped hands firmly. Stars shone bright through the dome's glass. The treaty's agreement would soon reach every world. Plans for joint science and exploration were drafted. Trade routes would carry goods and ideas instead of weapons. Education exchanges would teach each other's history. For the first time, humans and Empire scholars would share knowledge openly. Warships would patrol only to serve, not to conquer. Mothers on Earth and Empire worlds looked to the sky with hope. They whispered prayers for peace and unity. Life on Harmony Point continued with celebration and work. In quiet halls, envoys drafted outlines of a shared council. Both sides would have equal voices in decisions affecting the galaxy. And though a final test awaited them all, they believed that their new peace would hold. Because now they had built it together. But as the golden light of dawn faded, Captain Alex and Zarl gazed out at the stars. They knew that challenges still lay ahead. Trust must be earned with every action, and Part 6 of their journey ended with a promise that peace was possible, even between ancient rivals, and that the galaxy could change if its people dared to hope. Weeks passed since the treaty was signed on Harmony Point. Harmony Point's white domes glowed softly as ships arrived and departed in peaceful formation. The Galactic Empire and human fleets now escorted each other through border space, trade. Convoys carried food, medicine, and Zaru reactor cores between worlds. Children watched from observation decks as friendly ships passed side by side. On one deck, a human girl giggled as an Empire boy showed her how to play holochess. Their laughter echoed across the metal hall and warmed every heart. In the council chamber, representatives from both sides prepared for the first joint session. Commander Zarl and Captain Alex took their seats at a round table that floated above a star map. They greeted each other with respectful nods and quiet smiles. Alex tapped the holo button to begin the meeting. "Friends and allies, he began in a calm voice. "We gather now to build the future we pledge to share." Zarl leaned forward, voice steady. "Our worlds were once divided by fear and war," he said, "but today we are bound by hope and cooperation." The council members applauded softly across the galaxy. Monitors relayed the session live to millions of viewers. Farmers on remote colonies paused their work to watch. Miners in the asteroid belt suspended operations for a moment of silence. Even deep space explorers tuned in from distant ships. They saw the same faces of Alex and Zarl. They felt a bond stronger than any Starship hull, the first resolution. Past was the opening of neutral space lanes. These lanes would allow merchant ships safe travel under joint protection. Captain Rios volunteered his dreadnought to escort the first convoy. He stood on its bridge beside a human pilot named Lieutenant Maris. Together, they plotted a course through an asteroid field. Maris smiled and said, "I never thought I'd navigate with an Empire officer." Rios grinned back. "Now I never thought I'd call a human friend on the research station orbiting." The ice planet Yaros, human and Empire scientists worked side by side. They studied Zeru cores to power clean energy reactors for frontier worlds. An Empire engineer named Keela watched in awe as a human physicist reconfigured a core's containment field. Kella whispered, "Your method is brilliant," the physicist replied. "And yours makes it safe for any power grid." They high-fived and returned to their work. Their station hummed with new energy and promise. Meanwhile on Earth, Commander Zarl visited the blue planet for the first time. He walked among tall trees and saw birds he had only heard in stories. Alex guided him through a bustling market in New York City. Vendors sold fruit, crafts, and souvenirs celebrating the new alliance. Zarl tasted a sweet apple and closed his eyes in delight. He thought of the Empire's desert worlds and how green life could flourish everywhere. Back on Harmony Point, Emperor Draven watched the Joint Council through a secure feed. His red eyes softened as he saw humans and Empire soldiers working together. He leaned on his advisor Kelran and admitted quietly, "I feared their power would crush us." Kelran placed a hand on his sleeve. "But they did not," he said. Gently, Draven closed his eyes and sighed. "Perhaps our galaxy needs their courage more than our steel." On a distant mining colony, former rebel cells dismantled hidden weapons caches. Their leaders wrote letters of apology to families harmed. In past skirmishes, they pledged to guard peace instead of undermining it. In the border fortress of Koran, Empire troops once trained to fight humans now prepared relief supplies for earthquake victims on a human world. They loaded crates of water purifiers onto transports flown by human pilots. One pilot joked, "You used to see us as enemies." A trooper laughed, "Now I see you as my partner." Cultural exchanges flourished across the stars. Human musicians performed on Empire holotheaters. Alien choirs sang Earth songs in alien tongues. Artists painted murals of unity on station walls. Every stroke of color told the story of two worlds becoming one. Yet challenges remained. A hidden faction on the fringes still doubted peace. They sent one small group to test loyalty on a mining moon. But the local commander, an Empire veteran named Saurus, refused to fire. He stood firm and said, "Our oath is to peace." The faction disbanded, lost without cause. Word spread quickly across systems. Anyone who sought war now stood alone. As the first anniversary of the treaty approached, citizens prepared for a galaxy-wide festival. Flags of Earth and the Empire flew together on every station and planet. Fireworks were set to launch above frontier cities. Schools taught the story of how humans and Empire overcame fear. Historians wrote chronicles in both basic common and galactic high speech. Children learned both languages as equal parts of their culture. On the eve of the festival, Commander Zarl and Captain Alex met in the Silence Garden of Harmony Point. Glowing vines lit a soft path around a still water pool. They walked slowly, absorbing the peace they helped create. Zarl spoke first, voice low with emotion. "I never imagined we would come this far," he admitted. Alex nodded, eyes shining. "We did it together," he said. They clasped hands and closed their eyes. Above them, stars blinked in silent approval. But as they stood in quiet triumph, a distant sensor ping echoed softly. A new blip appeared on the edge of human space. Its signature was faint, altered by ancient cloaking tech. Both men opened their eyes and looked at each other. They smiled with confidence rather than fear. "Whatever it is," Alex said, "we face it as allies." Zarl returned the smile. "Together," he agreed. And so, a new chapter began. The warship that once terrified the Empire had taught it to hope. Humans and Empire built a future brighter than any star. They knew their peace was fragile but worth defending. As the festival lights prepared to blaze across the void, every world stood ready to celebrate and to guard the promise of unity. For the galaxy had changed forever, and their story was only just beginning.